Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Courtney Ryan, and in today's video, I'm going to be covering 5 questions that you should never ask the woman that you like. And just from a woman's perspective here, when you're getting to know a woman, the questions that you ask can shape how she perceives you. While it's natural to be curious, some questions can unintentionally come across as insecure, invasive, or just kind of off-putting. So let's explore why these 5 questions are best to be avoided and what they might signal to the girl that you're talking to if you do ask them. The first question is, what do you like about me so far? At first glance, this question might seem flirty or even charming, but it often comes across as an attempt to fish for compliments or to seek validation from her. Instead of fostering a natural flow of conversation, it shifts the focus onto an evaluation of your traits. This can put her in a really awkward position, especially if she hasn't had the time or space to form a clear thought about how she feels yet about you. Adding to the discomfort, this question can create unnecessary pressure. She might start overthinking her answer, wondering if it's good enough or if it aligns with what you're hoping to hear. This can make the interaction feel less genuine and more like a test, which is sort of the opposite of what you want to go for, especially early on. A better approach here is just to be confident and let your personality shine naturally. If she is spending time with you, that's already a positive sign. Just trust the process. Relationships grow best when there's no pressure for immediate affirmation or, again, validation. Let admiration develop organically through meaningful conversations and the experiences that you share together. Another question sort of in the same category here that I want to cover is, do you think I have a chance with you, or where do you see this going? These questions can totally derail any positive momentum and signal a lack of confidence on your end. Even if she likes you, asking something like this too soon can feel really overwhelming. Again, from a woman's perspective here. It shifts the dynamic from lighthearted and fun to sort of serious and awkward. It's likely to make her second guess the connection instead of just letting it evolve naturally. Confidence is one of the most attractive qualities in a person, so instead of looking for verbal confirmation, just show her why you're someone worth pursuing through your actions and through your conversation. If the connection is there, it will just unfold over time. There's no need to rush or demand validation from her. Bringing up questions like this too soon can make you seem desperate, overly eager, or even a little bit obsessive, which is never good. If you're still in the early stages, especially on something like a first date, it's almost guaranteed to make her feel uncomfortable. Avoid asking things like, what attracted you to me, or why did you agree to go out with me? These questions might seem harmless but can come across insecure and, again, just make her feel a little bit uncomfortable. If you want to show interest, do so in a more natural way. For example, at the end of the date, you could say something like, I had a great time tonight and I would love to take you out again. This is going to communicate your interest without coming across as needy or seeking that validation from her. You can even be a bit cheeky and build on a shared interest that maybe you discussed during your date. For instance, if you talked about loving Southern comfort food, you could say, hey, if you're free next Friday, I would love to take you to this amazing Southern restaurant downtown. This approach keeps things lighthearted, confident, and inviting, qualities that are going to leave a far better impression than those overly direct or validation-seeking questions that I already talked about. Okay, the next question that you should not ask is, why are you still single? Asking a woman, why are you still single, might seem like a lighthearted or even flattering question at first glance, but it can often come across as judgmental or dismissive, even if you do not intend it that way by any means. On the surface, it might appear to be a compliment. Maybe you're suggesting that she's so amazing, it's surprising that she's not in a relationship, or you can't believe that she's single. However, what it often does is put her in an uncomfortable position where she might feel like she needs to explain or sort of justify her relationship status. This can make a lot of women feel scrutinized or even a bit defensive, which is not the kind of energy that you want to create when you're trying to get to know a girl. And the reality is that there are tons of different reasons why someone could be single. It could be the result of timing, life circumstances, or simply prioritizing personal growth over a relationship. By asking why she's single, you risk sending the message that being single is a problem or something to be fixed. And let's not forget, you're single too if you're on a date with her, or hopefully you are. Instead of probing into why she's single, just focus on building a connection that allows her to open up naturally when she feels ready to do so. People share personal details when they feel comfortable, and your role is to create an environment where she feels safe to share that. If she wants to talk about her relationship history or the reasons behind her single status, I think she'll do so on her own terms, the same way that you should. There's no reason to pry it out of her. A much better approach is to steer the conversation towards topics that are going to highlight her personality, her interest, and her values. For example, you could ask her what she's passionate about, what she's been enjoying in life recently, or even about some goals that she has. These questions are not only more engaging, but allow her to share parts of her life that matter to her without feeling judged or put on the spot. Ultimately here, asking why are you still single often does more harm than good, again, even if you don't intend for it to be a malicious type of question. It's going to shift the focus away from meaningful conversations and can just create unnecessary tension between the two of you. Instead, focus on building a genuine connection and letting her share what she wants when she's ready. This approach shows respect, maturity, and confidence, qualities that are far more attractive than any direct question about her relationship status. Okay, the next question you shouldn't ask is, why didn't you reply to my message? This might seem like an innocent question, but it often comes across as overly needy or insecure, neither of which leaves a good impression. Life happens, people get busy, caught up in work, or simply need some downtime, and a delayed response isn't always a reflection of someone's interest in you. Bringing up a missed reply shifts the focus to something negative and can make her feel pressured or even monitored, which is not the best feeling. It's an easy way to take the conversation from light and enjoyable to awkward and tense. Instead of overanalyzing her texting habits, focus on making the moments you do share more meaningful. Whether it's through text or in person, show her that you value quality communication over constant validation. If she hasn't responded, don't make it a big deal. Instead, you can reinitiate the conversation naturally by saying something like, hey, I was just thinking about what we talked about the other day. What do you think about insert topic here? This approach keeps things light, confident, and positive, showing her that you are not overly reliant on her response time in order to feel secure. It's also important to recognize the difference between someone who is genuinely busy and someone who just isn't putting in consistent effort to communicate with you. If a woman repeatedly ignores your messages, leaves you on read, or ghosts you altogether, take it as a sign that she is not interested. There's no reason to ask why she's done it or try to chase an answer. It's far more productive to move on and focus on someone who values your time and your effort. By showing patience, emotional maturity, and a willingness to walk away from that inconsistent behavior, you'll demonstrate the confidence and self-respect that make you stand out. A secure, confident person doesn't dwell on unanswered messages. They prioritize meaningful connections with people who reciprocate their energy. The next question that you should never ask a woman is, are you high maintenance? Asking a woman, are you high maintenance, might seem like a simple or even playful question, but it's often packed with negative undertones that maybe we've picked up on from being a little too chronically online. For many women, this can come across as a sort of backhanded way of questioning whether she's too much for you to handle, whether that be financially, emotionally, or just in terms of her standards. Even if your intent is curiosity, the term high maintenance is so subjective and loaded that it's likely to create tension or make her feel misjudged by you. And you might not even get an answer that's accurate anyway, because I can guarantee if you ask a woman, are you high maintenance? She's either just going to say no, or she's going to wonder what exactly you mean by that. I think this term is so subjective. Everyone sort of has a different idea of what high maintenance is. To some men, it might be a woman who gets her hair and nails done. To others, it might be a woman who has these unrealistic standards for men to make $1 million a year. I mean, it could really vary across the board. So by asking this question, you're not going to get an authentic answer anyway. So it's better just to not ask. And a problem with this question is that it often implies a value judgment. Women who take pride in their appearance, enjoy treating themselves, or who have clear standards in relationships might feel criticized for simply just being themselves. It can suggest that their preferences are burdensome or unreasonable, even when they're not. Instead of creating a connection, it can create defensiveness or discomfort, which is exactly what you want to avoid. If you're concerned about compatibility, there are much better ways to find out without resorting to these high maintenance labels or sort of just putting her on the spot. Pay attention to how she approaches life, relationships, and her goals. Observe how she treats others, how she spends her time and her money, and what she values the most in her life. Over time, these insights will naturally tell you what you need to know about her priorities and whether or not they align with yours. If a girl enjoys nice experiences or prioritizes self-care, that doesn't automatically make her high maintenance. It simply means that those things are important to her. Compatibility is less about specific habits and more about whether you share similar values and can respect each other's choices. If you're worried about how her lifestyle fits with yours, focus on building a genuine connection instead of jumping to labels or making assumptions. Again, remember, when you assume, you make an ass of you and me. So try not to do that. Ultimately, I think questions like, are you high maintenance, can feel like a shortcut to understanding someone, but they often do more harm than good. It's better to actually take the time to truly get to know her and allow compatibility to reveal itself naturally. And the last question that I just had to include in this video is, what do you bring to the table? Asking a woman, what do you bring to the table, might seem like a straightforward way to gauge compatibility, but it often comes across as transactional and dismissive. Instead of creating a meaningful connection, it can feel like an interrogation where she's expected to prove her worth or her qualifications. This approach shifts the focus from actually getting to know her as a person to evaluating her as if she's applying for a job role in your life, which can be really off-putting and impersonal, again, from a woman's perspective here. Building a genuine connection isn't about measuring what someone brings to the table in a quantifiable sense. It's about mutual respect, shared values, and emotional compatibility. Relationships thrive on a foundation of trust, understanding, and a natural exchange of energy, not a checklist of contributions. And I would say the same exact thing to the women watching. Rather than framing your conversation this way, focus on discovering what her passions, goals, and perspectives are. Let the connection grow organically through shared experiences and meaningful dialogue with her. Now, I know there's a lot of advice out there, especially on platforms like YouTube, that encourages men to ask this question as a way to sort of screen women or vet them out. But let me tell you, please do not ask this on a date. You'll naturally learn what someone brings to the relationship as you get to know them over time. There's no need to ask this question that feels more like an evaluation than a genuine effort to connect with her. I think if someone were to ask me this question, it would make me wonder why they're trying to assess my value before even making an effort to get to know me. So instead, focus on learning about what her morals are, her core values, and her life goals. These are the things that truly determine compatibility and connection, not asking her, what do you bring to the table? So instead of asking her, what do you bring to the table, you could ask thoughtful, open-ended questions like, what are you passionate about? What's your favorite thing to do in your free time? What's something that you've always wanted to try or accomplish? I mean, there are so many better questions to ask than what do you bring to the table that will actually give you a much clearer answer into what this girl is like and what she values and what her priorities are. These kinds of questions create a space for her to open up and to share more about herself in a natural, unpressured way. By showing a genuine interest in who she is rather than what she can provide to you, you'll come across as confident, emotionally intelligent, which women love, and ready to build a meaningful connection. Qualities that are far more attractive than someone treating dating like an interview process. And again, just to clarify, I would give the same advice to women. Whether we like it or not, the questions we ask can say a lot about our mindset, emotional intelligence, and approach to relationships. Avoiding these types of questions shows respect for her boundaries, confidence in yourself, and a genuine interest in getting to know her for who she is. The most meaningful connections come from mutual curiosity, comfort, and understanding, not from forcing someone to validate or explain themselves. Focus more on creating a safe, fun, and engaging environment, and you're naturally going to leave a better impression. So guys, that is all I have for this video. If you liked it or found it helpful, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel to be in the loop for when I release new content. Let me know what you think down in the comments. Have you ever asked a woman any of these questions? What are some other questions you've asked that maybe haven't landed the best way, or questions that you would advise other men to avoid? Would also love to hear some questions to ask and what you've had success with in past relationships or with women that you've talked to. If you haven't already, be sure to follow me over on Instagram at Courtney Christine Ryan. I love connecting with all of you guys over on there as well. As always, thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you all next time.